All right, here we are again. I'm in my office at work right now recording, so that's why the audio is not that great, but hopefully we'll get beyond that. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do intertextuality, or at least a tool that you can use to work through intertextuality, which is kind of a big thing that's trending nowadays. And this is how I do it. Now, I have a number of files that I use, the custom files that I've put on my website, and eventually I'll have this blog post written and you'll be able to see everything. But if you go there, you'll see this link to prep word list macro, and it has a Google Drive link there. You just click on that and then just download that file. Now, it does run on macros. If you don't like putting that on your computer, you could just download the file, don't enable the macros. But I haven't written any bugs in it that's going to destroy your computer. It's just a macro. All right, and if you open it, you'll need to click on Enable Editing and Enable Content, and it'll look something like this. The other thing that you'll need to do is go up here and click on this link, and I'll explain what this is in a minute. But the AFAT, Hebrew Bible 100 or more, and this will take you to Logos, where you can download a word list that I've made publicly available. So here's the word list. If you sign in, you can also download it, add it to your own word list, etc. And I won't do that here because I already got this on my computer, but it's pretty easy. All right, now, so let me get out of that, and then you'll need to pull up Logos here. All right, so we want to find intertextuality. We want to find at least maybe some hints and some directions. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with the word list feature in Logos, and we're going to generate a word list out of a specific passage and see if it can point us to another passage that has similar verbiage. Now, the theory behind this is if the passages share similar terminology, and there's a high percentage of it, then maybe those two passages are linked. Now, not in every case, as I'll show you, but there does seem to be a pattern that works pretty well with this. So let's go to Docs here, and I want to do new word list, put it on the side. Let's call this one AFAT, Isaiah 2, 1 through 4. We're going to add, now here's where you need to change things. I'm using the AFAT database, the Anderson Forbes database, and then you'll need to use this for this particular project if you use my word list of 100 words or more. I'll explain that in a minute. Because if you don't, if you use the the Lexham Hebrew Bible database, the word lists are different. The AFAT pulls the vowel pointings out, whereas Lexham leaves them in. And so the search and the different features that we're going to be using won't actually work well. So, switch to AFAT there, and then add the passage, and boom, it'll pull up all those words. Now, that document that says 100 words or more, let's say, here's the reason why that document's important. Let's say, you just did a search with these words right here on this word list. Well, what would happen is it would start pulling up all these really common words, like the preposition "and," or let's see, the vav, okay, and hey, and different things. And so what ends up happening is you get a lot of garbled information because you have all these common words, and it won't precisely identify a particular passage. So what I've done is built this word list, and we'll run an intersection here where we remove all the common words that appear 100 times or more in the Hebrew Bible, so that we're left with a little bit more rare words. And what this will do is, theoretically, it'll link one passage to another one. So let's run that intersection here right now. And here's my list. And actually, we're not running the intersection, we're running a difference. So find Hebrew Bible 100 words or more, or whatever I've entitled it on the Logos site. Click difference, and boom, you'll end up with a much shorter list. All right. Now, we go up here, export that list. Make sure you have your Excel doc open that I sent you, and paste into an open Word document. Basically, what we're going to do here, all right, you see how it's created a new word list? What we're going to do here is go to developer. Now, the default setting for Excel is to hide the developer tab. So what you got to do is go over to options, customize ribbon, and then over here, click check on developer, and it'll open that tab up for you. Anyways, so pull it up here, click on the macros button, prep word list for search, hit run, and boom, it'll do a bunch of stuff, and all of a sudden it'll look like this. Now, what this basically sets up all those words for a search feature in Logos, for just a search syntax. And there's a couple things you have to do. First, you got to trim this list so it's exactly these little code things here are exactly the length of your word items here. So we delete these bottoms too. Now, sometimes you'll have a very long word list. I'll have one here. You'll have a very long word list where you'll actually need to copy these all the way down. So sometimes that happens as well. Anyways. But trim it so it's exactly the same length. And then on the very last level, okay, click here and delete this last or, because it's the last one in the search syntax. So at the end, however long your list is, all these rows will look identical except for the very last one, which you delete this or right here. And then this little thing over here, select that cell, click Control C. And now, let's go back to Logos, go to the search panel. We're going to expand the search range for the entire Bible. I'm going to set it for the AFET database, paste in our search terms, and hit enter. All right, now you'll see a bunch of stuff that starts getting populated here. Not so much worried about that. What you need to do is go over here to the graph button and graph results. And you'll see a number of things pop up. Surprise, Isaiah has a lot of hits. Now here's one of the features that I really hate in Logos, is we need to change this to chapter concentration, because we're interested in finding, which chapters have the highest concentration of these particular words. Well, if you look, you can't do that on here because to change it, it's all the way at the end of the string, and we just put a very long string in there, and so it won't pop up for us. So here's what you got to do. And this is the annoying part. You have to hit, without clicking anywhere, hit tab 3 times, alternate, down arrow, and then it'll pop up. And maybe shout out to somebody at Logos, please change this. Move it up there next to 0 items or something. I don't know. Alright, so you do it by chapter. Okay, and here's our results. So we start going through. And of course, Isaiah 2 gets a lot of hits. Let's see what else is out there. Isaiah 20. Oh, that's something. Oh, look. Micah chapter 4. Yes, I've done this before, so I kind of figured that. Anyways, Micah chapter 4 has a lot of hits on it. So let's pull up Micah chapter 4. It says, and it will come about in the last days that the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains. It will be raised above the hills, and the peoples will stream to it. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 2. Now it will come about that in the last days the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains, and the hills above, and it will be raised above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. Okay? So pretty much the exact same thing. So obviously, that works pretty well in that circumstances, and these are nearly direct quotes of each other. Now, question. Yes, it works for identical passages, but does it work for suggested passages? Passages that may or may not be identical. I think it does as well. Now, let's close out of this. We'll use the search again. We won't use that one again. I just need to delete that one. Okay, close that one out. Alright. So, we're going to do the same process again, but with a different passage. Now, a lot of people suggest that there possibly is a link between Isaiah 12 and Exodus 15. So let's see if our word feature here would find that. Again, new Word doc, word list. Let's do okay, and I've already done this before, so that's why it's popping up with the 2 there. Remember to change your database to the AFAT database. Type in Isaiah 12, hit enter, boom. Okay, now we want to run the difference again with the 100 words or more. Run the difference. We end up with this list, which is very narrow. So we export that to our Excel doc. Okay, it's not a very long list. All right, we go up here to macros, click macro, run word list for Excel, boom. Here's this one's a perfect example. All right, we copy this box right here, F2. We go over here to search. Apologize for the voices in the background. Like I said, I'm working in my office. And then you hit enter. And all right, we have all our hits again. Let's go over here to graph results. And then we hit tab 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and alternate down. Go to chapter. I think I did chapter right. Yep. And we got 15. You say, well, it's really tiny. Well, that's because Isaiah 12 is really huge. So this is all relative. And there's some other chapters like the Psalms and stuff go through pretty big as well. So you might consider some of those links. But 15, if you look in the context around it, it's pretty big. So I would, we can look that up, and it seems like chapter 15, compared to the rest of the Pentateuch, would be the closest in verbally to chapter 12, Isaiah chapter 12. And You can also go through some of the Psalms too, which seem to have a lot of connections, which would be interesting as a comparison. And then you see it drops off. Proverbs 18. Now, sometimes these Psalms or probably one of these Proverbs, it'll repeat a single word a lot of times, which is really annoying. And it'll shoot up to the top where, what you're looking for is not just one word repeated a lot, but a lot of the words repeated in that particular section. If that makes sense. So again, this won't give you 100% direction to go. Obviously Exodus 15 is not the highest on the list. So all this searching and everything else will just point you in a direction if you're looking for intertextual context. It won't, however, 100% nail it that those two passages are linked. You'll have to go beyond this particular data and start looking at, constructions, phraseology, context, themes, that kind of thing to actually make that link. But this will help you get started in the right direction. Like if you were to, go through the rest of the book of Isaiah and look at 26, maybe 35 here, and 51 and 52, those would be kind of some interesting themes if you're running like a theme study through the book of Isaiah. Check those out as well. See where the words pop up there. But anyways, that's kind of the basics. You can run this with Greek too. Now I'm going to show you how to do in the next video. I'm going to show you how to do searches from the New Testament to the Old Testament. And that's going to be fun. So how do you, one's in Hebrew, one's in Greek. Well, we use the Septuagint. I'm not going to put all my cards on the table, but it's basically the same thing, but different. That'll be in the next video, but I hope you really enjoy this and find it useful.